today that he has left town. He's traveling to Uganda to celebrate his marriage with family and friends, adding that he will return, quote, before the end of the month. He has not yet secured the key endorsement from New York Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. For more on this, let's bring in the Federalist's Brianna Lyman. You know, Brianna, it's not just Hakeem Jeffries, and they had that meeting 2 days ago in New York City. It's also the Senate Minority Leader, who's a New Yorker. It's also Governor Kathy Hochul. Do you think they eventually come around to endorsing him, or will they stay away?
Well, they should stay away, because we saw that this past election, the entire country shifted right. So there is no mandate for Democratic leadership to now go out and either endorse or embrace Mamdani. And I think if they want to be taken seriously as a governing party, they must reject him, because this is a candidate that openly advocates for philosophical principles and positions that are fundamentally hostile to the founding. And I think if Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries have any political instinct left, they will use this as an opportunity to reclaim their party from the far-left ideologues that are alienating voters nationwide.
There are even some Republicans who are looking at Mamdani's program and saying there needs to be a better defense of capitalism, even from the Republican side. Here's what Vivek Ramaswamy had to say about it.
You can bash Mamdani or the other side all we want. What we're missing is making a positive case for capitalism itself. And if we're being honest, that's something that even the GOP at times has now in recent years gone soft on.
Do you think that both Democrats and Republicans have failed to defend capitalism?
They failed to defend capitalism because they also failed to defend republicanism. I'm talking small r republicanism, right? In which the founders said, look, people are endowed with certain inalienable rights that include property. And property and capitalism do go hand in hand. And so I think that there's a problem within our education, our institutions, K through 12. We're not teaching people what is capitalism versus what is socialism. We're not talking about the hundreds of millions who have died from socialism and communism. And if you don't teach that, you have a bunch of young liberal voters in New York City who say, wow, free housing, government-run grocery stores, my kind of guy.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate.
And, you know, you look at a lot of the centrists who come out of these meetings with Mamdani and they say he's identified the problem at least. Say what you will about what his solutions are, but he's properly identified the problem, right?
Oh, absolutely. And particularly for my generation, look, we are unable to buy houses. My parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, they could buy a house at my age. I'm struggling, and so is the rest of my generation. We are saddled with much more debt. So he acknowledges that we are facing a financial crisis for young people. He doesn't have the solutions that will work, but are Republicans or Democrats, you know, the moderate Democrats talking about policy prescriptions? Not really. You know, they're not talking about it in a way that is impacting and attracting young voters.
Yeah, and that cost of living problem is even more incredible in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you look at what some of the other language is about. So much of it has become about globalize the intifada, and his refusal really to condemn that phrase. He's now slowly gotten to the point where he says he's not going to use it anymore, and he's discouraging others from using it. But I mean, is you know, the horse already out of the barn on this one?
Look, he can discourage the term. I don't know what discourage entails. He can soften the language for television or the audience. But at the end of the day, the sentiment is militant and it is uncompromising. And I will say the fact that Mamdani is now saying we should discourage the term should be an indictment of the Democratic Party as a whole. Because if you remember, Ken Martin was asked about this, the DNC co-chair, and he said, we're a big tent party. If you can't draw a line at a slogan glorifying violence against Jews or anybody, you are not being inclusive, right? You are actually condoning this. And the fact that Mamdani is the first one to make that decision that we should discourage the term and not Democrats should speak volumes about how weak they are as a party.
And this is an incredibly crowded field as well.
Absolutely.
Do you think that there's any chance in his opponents stopping him if you just get one or two of those opponents to drop out of the race?
Look, I think the best remedy forward would be for Adams, Cuomo, Curtis Silva to coalesce around one of them. And it's not going to be Curtis. It's going to have to be Eric Adams or Cuomo. And I think Eric Adams has actually done a decent job for a Democrat, and he should be the candidate they coalesce around.
You look at those who have really supported Mamdani, and it's actually pretty remarkable that a lot of his base comes from wealthier, highly educated people in Queens and in Brooklyn. You know, what does that really say about who is coming out to support him?
Right. You know, one of the mantras that he spoke about is, I am the candidate for the working party. But it was the Hispanic and black voters that overwhelmingly didn't vote for him. And those are the working party voters. White liberals are not necessarily the working party voters. These are affluent, college-educated individuals. So I think it speaks to the fact that you have individuals who think they know better for black and Hispanic voters and vote with that in mind instead of thinking of the real-life consequences of their policy positions.
You know, one of the most fascinating elections we're going to have. It's one of those off-year elections. There's not many of them, but it's even I think even in a regular election year, this would be a fascinating story.
Huge.
Yeah. Brianna Lyman, thanks so much for joining
us.
New details involving that mass casualty crash outside of a Los Angeles nightclub early Saturday. Police said the driver intentionally rammed his car into the crowd just minutes after he was kicked out of the same club for disruptive behavior.
Was he the only one in the car? Fighting right here. Was he by himself in the car?
No, he had like another chick on the side passenger seat.
Did you hear anything about